Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ballast Book Launch. Although today it's actually Blue Balloon Book Launch. We're very honored to have Andrea Mercier in studio with us today to talk about her book, Oliver's Extraordinary Friend. Andrea, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. It's just an honor to be here, Andy, and talk about the book.
Yeah. We were talking a little before this, and this is certainly a book that our whole team just absolutely loves and loved from the day that we started working with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your story and what you tried to achieve and what you're trying to achieve by publishing Oliver's Extraordinary Friend, and who Oliver's Extraordinary Friend is. I guess is probably the first piece.
Yes, absolutely. So I think this all began as a prayer of my heart to do something to honor my son and to celebrate children like him. We have a 10-year-old son named Gabriel, and he has autism, and he has severe autism. He also has a rare genetic condition that is really the kind of the root of all of his issues. But yeah, I think I just really had this prayer on my heart to do something to honor Gabriel. And I had thought about different things to do, and a couple of people told me that I should write a book because I've self-published a book before. But as I was sitting at home right before Christmas time, that would have been in December of 23, this idea just came into my mind to write a children's book. And I sat down that afternoon and I just started writing out an idea. And basically what I did was I just kind of told our story about Gabriel and about the things that he likes and the differences that he has. And really the goal of the book is to create awareness, to educate neurotypical children through the power of story, and to create opportunities for families to have conversations about autism so more children on the spectrum can feel loved, accepted, and better understood. I think you're a parent, Andy. You understand that you worry about your child. Will they be loved? Will they be accepted? Will they be understood? And I think for a parent of a child with autism, that worry is even greater. So we noticed that when children are given the opportunity to ask questions, when they have more education and exposure to children with autism, they feel more comfortable. So really, that's the hope of our book. That's the goal, is to allow children to have some exposure and to kind of tell our story, and then allow them to ask questions so that they can better understand children with autism. And we've seen that happen, and it's been amazing. I tell people that this book is my heart in a book, and to be able to share our story, it's kind of it's such an honor. It's such a gift. Really, it's an answer to that prayer of my heart, which has been super cool to see. And we want to thank you all for helping us make that dream become a reality. We couldn't have done this without you. Well,
thank you. Like I said, the whole team, just from the beginning, this is, we love all our authors and all of our books. That's true. But there was just something about this, something about you, something about your story, and just following Gabriel on social media. When you came today, I was half hoping. I said, I wonder if maybe Gabriel could have made the trip.
Sure.
Because he just, you can just see in those pictures what a great guy is.
Yeah.
And so what I really love about this book is, notice the title. It's Oliver's Extraordinary Friend.
Right.
This isn't told from Gabriel's perspective, which I thought was really neat. So tell us who Oliver is and kind of go a little bit through the story of what Oliver experiences.
For sure. So Oliver is really a combination of all the children that we've seen gone out of their way to better embrace and understand our son, Gabriel. I think about my niece, Ada, who's 5, and her mom is my twin sister, and she's done an amazing job of helping her daughter understand that Gabriel has unique needs, and we need to be understanding and patient and gracious and just loving towards him and try to enter into his world and understand what his needs are and the things that he enjoys. So it's been really neat to see her better love her cousin because of her mom, and also because of the book. They've read this book numerous times. Sure. She was one of the first people to read the book.
Beta reader.
Yeah, exactly. She was one of my beta readers, and she approved the book, and she gave it 2 thumbs up. And it, like I said, it helped her better appreciate and love her cousin. So that's been really neat for us to be able to see that happen. Yeah, so Oliver is really just a combination of all the kids that have gone out of their way, because that's what we're hoping. We have this saying, like, be an Oliver, right? That's what we're hoping as kids read the story of the book, that they too would be an Oliver, that they would step into the world of a child with autism, to see that you can create a connection with a child with autism. Sure. It just takes a little bit more patience, a little bit more understanding, and a little bit more intentionality, to not expect them so much to step into your world, but be loving and kind enough to be able to step into their world to better understand. So kind of the story of Oliver with Gabriel. So the story kind of starts out with some tension. Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't understand.
He doesn't understand. And that's normal.
Right.
It's totally normal that a neurotypical child wouldn't understand what Gabriel is doing or why he does things the way that he does. Like, we talk about how Gabriel is nonverbal, and Oliver tries to talk to Gabriel, but Gabriel doesn't talk back, and he doesn't even look at him when he talks. Or he notices that Gabriel rocks his body back and forth, and he makes, different noises, and, he does these different things, and it kind of, Oliver's like, not quite sure what to do. And his mom has a conversation with him and just encourages him to be patient and to show love and kindness. And that's what Oliver does. And he finds out some amazing things, that they are able to connect with each other. Mm-hmm. That in the story, they talk about how they both love breakfast for dinner, and they both love to go swimming. So they find some commonality in those things. And Gabriel has high sensory needs. So that means he loves to run and jump and feel different textures. And Oliver finds out, wow, this is actually really fun. Yeah. The things that Gabriel enjoys, he enjoys too. And one of my favorite parts in the book is
Do you want to just to show the audience some of the illustrations?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'd love to see the part that you're referring to.
Yes. So one of my favorite parts is actually when right after Oliver and his mom have that conversation, and Oliver's mom encourages him to spend more time with Gabriel, and they have the image of them in the pool together. And actually, this is one of my favorite parts, because that's when the turning point happens in the story. But also because my husband, I put him in the book. So he gets
a cameo.
He gets a cameo in the book. He's in the pool with Gabriel because that's realistic for us. Gabriel needs his dad in the pool.
Sure.
He cannot be in the pool alone. So yeah, that turning point happens. And then Oliver helps Gabriel hold his fork to help him while he's eating. And then Oliver talks about how he has this warm feeling inside. And then I love this part. It makes me tear up. His mom says that feeling you feel is selfless love. Yeah. And that's really the story of the book, is to show selfless love to children living on the autism spectrum. So that's definitely one of my favorite parts of the book. And then another one of my favorite parts comes later in the book, and it's when Oliver becomes Oliver the observer, right? We talked about how Gabriel, he's nonverbal. He struggles with eye contact, but Oliver, he puts on his detective outfit and he becomes Oliver the observer, and realizes that Gabriel does talk and he does communicate through different movements and different smiles and sounds. And he just has to pay attention a little bit more to find out that Gabriel does communicate in a different way. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite parts of the book. And I've actually heard from other people that they really appreciated that part of the book because they have a child that's nonverbal. But if people would take the time to be patient and to lean in a little bit more, they would realize that their child does communicate just without words.
Yeah.
So
it's a good the book is a good microcosm for the entire relationship, right? It's about education. It's about, kids. I think we all are who are, scared or leery of something that we don't understand or we don't know. And so
True.
with, by kids reading books like this and getting to know other kids who may be on the spectrum, they'll see that they have, like you said, they have so much in common. And I think that's a really good message.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the type of things that you've heard from people who have read the book? I imagine people have reached out from you from all over.
For sure. Let me share a couple of stories that have just come my way. So this was actually just yesterday.
Oh, wow.
I got a text message from a friend who was serving at a mom's group at her church, and they were talking about the story about Jesus the friends who brought their paralyzed friend to Jesus, and they lowered their friend through the roof so that Jesus could heal him. And she talked about how important it is to love and care for our disabled friends. And then she read the book to the kids who were about 4 and 5 years old. And she talked about the story behind the book. And she said the kids loved the book so much that they asked for her to read it again. So she read it to them twice. So just, and we love that,
It's a high compliment.
Oh, it is.
A kid wants to read a book a second time. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We love that, and that she was talking about the importance of loving your disabled peers. And she thought about reading our book in relation to that. So that was a very touching moment.
That's nice.
And then my mom shared a story with me a couple of weeks ago about a friend of hers who shared the book with her grandson who has autism. And they read the book at his school in his classroom. And after reading that story together, they started including this young boy more in play because they better understood him. Wow. So
that must make it all worth it.
You're telling me that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
How much did your work just impact that one child's life?
I know.
That's amazing.
And that's our goal, right? That they would feel better understood and loved and appreciated and really included. And that was that just brings tears to your eyes to think about a child that, and I know my mom told me how much that grandma was just over the moon, so thankful because of what that meant for her grandson. So yeah, and we hope. I would love to hear more stories like that, because that makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah. Have you noticed, as Gabriel's gotten older, have you noticed more kids reaching out because I feel like there is more of a focus on educating kids nowadays.
Yes.
And it seems like it's just with books like this, just going more in that direction. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed kids reaching out and accepting Gabriel even more than maybe they previously did?
Yes, I would say that. Yes, I have noticed that. We had talked before we started this, but I told you that Gabriel went to church and to his normal Sunday school class. He goes with neurotypical kids, so he's just a part of the class. So all of the kids in there are neurotypical. But it was so neat to see how they really genuinely wanted to try to learn about Gabriel and enter into his world, and also make sure that he was safe and those types of things. So yeah, I would definitely say I definitely see a level of empathy that's been really neat. One of the things that really meant a lot to me too was just seeing how some of the kids, older kids, like junior high aged kids, would take our book. We had a family that took our book into their school, and then the daughter went around to different grade school classes and read the book to the younger children, being an advocate in her school. And it was really neat. They said that so many of the teachers wanted the book read in their class that they had to create a sign up and different things like that. But yeah, it's been so neat to see just how these young people are becoming advocates and showing empathy and love and kindness to children like my son. So I'm very encouraged by that.
That's wonderful to hear. And again, it just comes back, I really believe, to education. If kids learn, if they read, a book like Oliver's Extraordinary Friend, I think that they will, because I think naturally kids, they want to be kind. And if they understand how much of an impact they can make,
Right.
I think that they'll take advantage of that. So
Yeah.
great. So, we talk a lot about with authors. We talk a lot about goals for the book. I think we've talked already extensively about what your goals are and your why for doing the book.
You bet.
But are there any other goals, any other things that you wanted to make sure, or actually maybe even some that you didn't realize that that would be a benefit of of writing and publishing the book? Things that may have happened that you weren't expecting.
Honestly, I think how well the book was received was very surprising to me. I mean, I just wanted to do something that would celebrate my son that I thought maybe my family would, get on board with, and a few people. But to see that, actually, another story. This was maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. I got a text message from a friend who randomly connected with a lady on Facebook through some group I don't even know, but she was a teacher, I think in Virginia, and she taught kids with autism, or her son had autism, something like this. And she's like, "Oh, my friend just wrote a book about, kids with autism," and she shared it with her. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I have this book and I love it."
Oh, wow.
Right? So that was so cool to see that our book is it's not just local.
Right. Oh,
right?
No. Yeah.
It's,
I mean, you've sold thousands of copies. You've done really, really well.
Yeah.
And I think that we always talk about an author being their own best marketer. We have a marketing department. They're wonderful. We have publicists.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's the author that really makes that really drives the engine on marketing a book. And I've just been so impressed, watching you work with our marketing team and watching all the wonderful things that you do for a first time author, first time children's author. Are there any things that you think that either through trial and error that you found that were really successful for you that you would recommend people doing and
For sure.
trying to market their book?
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the reasons why our book was so successful is I knew my purpose. I knew my why, right?
Yeah.
And I was a motivated mom.
Yeah, you
right?
are.
This came from my heart.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that love our son. And there's a lot of people that love people with autism. And I think it showed just how much of a need there was for this book as to why it was received so well. But I will also say that I did a lot of pre-work. I called anybody and everybody I could think of. And honestly, some of these things just came my way. I really believe that God was behind all of this. And I have a friend that works for a Christian radio station, WBGL, and they have a podcast. It's called The Unfolding Podcast that has over 1 million downloads. And they reached out to me. I met this woman, at a women's conference that I spoke at years ago. And she just reached out to me and said, "Hey, can we highlight your book on the radio? And can we have you on our podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely." So I think I reached out to as many people as I could think of, but I had opportunities come my way, and I tried to take advantage of every opportunity I could think of. One really unique thing that we did was we attended disability fairs. So we found different disability fairs in the area, and we promoted the book there. We sold the book there. And we just tried to partner with as many people and organizations that we could. I did different book readings and different things like that. I definitely use social media. One thing that was, I think, helpful for sure was giveaways. We did T-shirt giveaways. We actually had people buy T-shirts prior to the launch to try to get the word out, through people wearing the T-shirt. So we did T-shirt giveaways. We did book giveaways for people to join the Facebook page, so that we could kind of keep things rolling. And, if you share this, you get to enter into a pool to win a book or give a book to your school, or, so that definitely helped get people to the page, get people sharing the page. And helped us have a great start.
Yeah, I think what it is you put yourself out there, but with a quality product too. And you can, the audience, if they meet you or if they pick up the book, they can see the passion, they can see that you're trying to do, and I think that resonates. So, there certainly you created your own tailwind, I would say, and it really was remarkable watching you. I think motivated mom is a really good way to put it. I really like that. Talk a little bit about you mentioned writing the manuscript that one time, but talk about the editing process, working with our team on editing, finding the right illustrator. Did you already envision what you wanted the characters to look like? Did you want Gabriel to look? I mean, it looks like him. I'm looking at the book, but it's it's cartoony. Some people want more lifelike. Did you have all that vision, or did that come as you went through the production process?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say it was both and. I would say I definitely had an idea of the type of illustration I wanted, like what it would look like, kind of more of this, cartoonish look.
Fun.
Yeah, fun.
It's like a fun, uplifting
bright,
brand.
uplifting, yes. And, I think the target age for our book is between like 4 and 8. So just kind of what would a 4 to 8-year-old like? I actually put a poll out on Facebook when, we had the 3 different illustrators submit to us, their example. And then I had to choose. And this one got the most by far, for sure. There was one other one that got pretty close, but this one people really liked. And what I really loved about the example that he sent over was he listened to the feedback that I gave about how Gabriel struggles with eye contact and hugging, even touch is difficult.
Yeah.
And, Gabriel's looking off to the side. Right. It almost looks like a little bit of a hesitant hug on Gabriel's. And so that really
captured it.
It captured it. And I know my family, they said, that's Gabriel. And I said, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's those little details, right? Like you said, like putting your husband in the pool. It's so many little details like that just make the book extraordinary, from really good to extraordinary.
Yes.
Pardon the pun.
Yes. Yep.
So, and then how was the process of work once you selected? So in case anybody's wondering how this works, we have a portfolio of our illustrators that we send. You got to pick a few out. So you had your test sketches. Now, once you selected the illustrator that you wanted to go with, how did that process? Was there a lot of back and forth of hey, this needs to be here, or his hands are usually placed like this, or things in the background or colors? How much?
Yeah, I would say Kaylee and Kat helped me kind of think through that, because I didn't really, I had some ideas of what I wanted for the illustrations, but at the same time, it was good to have them to collaborate with and kind of, think through some different ideas. But once we kind of got down what I wanted to see on every page, he did a great job with kind of bringing that to life. There was a little bit, of feedback that I gave, and some changes that needed to be made. But overall, I loved how the book came to life. It brought the words to life on the pages. So, that was, the illustration process was definitely the longest piece of the process. I think it took about 3 months.
Okay.
And then, we got the cover done and I think I got my book out in about just under 6 months. So,
which is very good.
I was pushing pretty hard.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, we always say it's our full-time job, but we understand for authors, it's not their full-time job.
Right.
So we know that life, and you have a busy life, obviously.
Sure. Yeah.
And so sometimes it can move quickly, and sometimes we move at the speed of our authors.
Yep.
So how about the manuscript? How'd the manuscript turn out, the editing process? That first draft, did you pretty much have it all right there, or did it go undergo a lot of additional iterations?
I would say I do remember that they helped me with the opening. We did kind of change the opening a little bit, and then I really wanted to make it more of a dialogue, but I was really struggling with how to make that happen. So Kat helped me with that to kind of get that into more of a dialogue back and forth between Oliver and his mom. And that was really helpful. I don't recall having a lot of edits. I think that process went pretty quick, actually, to kind of get the story set and in a good place. But I had a friend actually who is a children's book illustrator, and I sent her my manuscript before submitting it to you guys.
Okay.
And she was super helpful.
Oh, it was in good shape.
Yes, she was super helpful. She's like, add a couple more examples. So I added the scene with the shaving cream, and I added another scene. I don't remember which one, but I added a couple of different scenes to kind of help bring the story more to life and add more context. So yeah, having her feedback was super helpful coming into the process. So, but yeah, that process went smoothly. And then we went to the illustrations, and I think after that, we were just setting the interior of the book.
Yeah. Formatting.
Yeah,
files,
formatting.
uploading. And so, I think what's really interesting about your process, so we publish in two different manners and really print in two different manners, right? We can do an upfront offset print run where we're printing a bunch of books up front, and then they're sitting in our warehouse and we're fulfilling them. But we also have a print on demand option, which we weren't doing print on demand up until a couple of years ago because the quality wasn't there. But the printing processes and the actual printers themselves have really gotten a lot better over the past few years. So, if you're looking at so you chose the print on demand option, which I think worked out really, really well for you. And so you'll see it's just such a high quality hardcover book, with wonderful ink saturation, the bleed and the margins looks wonderful. It's a high quality book. What was your kind of thought process when you were going through it? Was it the kind of ease of having the print on demand and you can manage a lot of this yourselves and not having to manage inventory?
Sure.
Is that why that was so attractive to you?
Yeah, it was definitely that. That just made more sense to me. One less thing to have to manage. And I guess I didn't I've kind of done print on demand before with the book that I've self-published all on my own.
Right.
So that's what I was familiar with too. So yeah, it just made the most sense to me to do that. And it's worked out great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, I told you the story that I only had one copy of the book and I wanted a few for this. And on Saturday I was on a ski lift and I ordered it from my phone from Amazon.
Yeah.
And it arrived when I got back on Sunday. The next day, Amazon actually delivered it on a Sunday. So
everybody listening to this right now, go on Amazon, get in your cart.
Or Amazon
or Blue Balloon Books,
or you can get it direct from our website. You can get it anywhere the books are sold, really.
Yes.
But it's just wonderful. So we still do offset print runs and we manage it for our authors. We have our warehouse where the books are stored and we fulfill all those orders there. But it's just a seamless process with how well that they've done with print on demand.
Yes.
Is there anything in the process, the publishing process, that surprised you? Or that you would have done differently?
Yeah, honestly, I tell people that working with you all has been wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
I think I was surprised, honestly. I could tell you all cared, that you were passionate about what you do. And that's why I chose to go with you. Because I had a couple other opportunities from other hybrid publishers, but I knew that there was something about that initial conversation that I'm like, these people care. And that meant a lot to me. And that continued throughout the whole process. It's been awesome to work with you. I've referred a couple of people to you, and one person actually is in the process of publishing a children's book with you because the process went so much better than I expected. So,
well, thank you. That's great to hear. And I just give all the credit to our team. We do have just a group of talented book lovers who just are very passionate about bringing these books to life. And, our Blue Balloon mantra is to embrace the innocence and wonder of childhood. And this book certainly does that. And we've loved working with you. Going back to I want to touch a little more on your own marketing efforts, which is social media. You're active on social media. Can you tell everybody where they can find you on social media first?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So because I'm an old lady, I just got Instagram to get this book. So I don't have Instagram's not a good place for me, but we're on Facebook, Oliver's Extraordinary Friend -book. come and follow us, and follow the journey along with us. And that's where we've got the big following is on Facebook. But you can find me on Instagram at my name, so Andrea Mercier 17, and I do post on there as well.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you're a great follow because, you get to, I feel like I know Gabriel just from looking at that. You can see the different expressions on his face, and it's just really wonderful following your journey, both, with the book and on social media. Is there anywhere else that people can contact you, or is that the best place on Facebook?
I would say that, the Facebook page is definitely the best place. I respond to messages there. If somebody wants to collaborate or, get the book in their store, they can contact me that way. That works out just fine.
Okay, great. And so this book isn't just, actually, let me ask this. Do you think this book is more for children with autism or for children without autism?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's more for neurotypical kids. I think it's really to help them better understand their autistic peers. That's really the goal, and that's what we've been seeing. So, I think though, an autistic child hopefully would feel like, oh, wow, that's me. To see themselves in a book is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Right?
What's Gabriel think?
Yeah, well, it was really neat. One of the people, her name's Brooklyn. He loves Brooklyn. She helps us with him, and in our home in the past. And she read the book to him, and he pointed at himself in the book, and I was so surprised.
Really?
That was really neat. So Gabriel doesn't fully understand the process, but just to see that he noticed himself in the book was really neat. Super cool.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay. So anything else that you want to tell maybe parents who are thinking about getting this book and gifting it to people, what they should be looking for?
For sure. Yeah, I think... let's just celebrate children of all abilities. That's what we're about is, let's help create a more empathetic, inclusive world where children like my son are embraced, like the stories that we've heard through our book. I'd love to hear more stories like that. And, I think that's kind of what I'd like to leave this time with is this is a partnership, right? And this book, I'm hoping, can help you as a parent educate your child so that children like my own can be better understood and loved and accepted. Yeah. So, get the book for yourself, for your local libraries, for your local schools. Donate it. We would love. I always tell people I'm deputizing you, right? Go, share the book. Yeah. That's right. Share the book with your school. Share the message.
Yeah.
And spread it for sure.
I think that's a wonderful message, and obviously, the book itself has a wonderful message. So, Andrea, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure working with you. We look forward to continue doing great things. Everyone, go get Oliver's Extraordinary Friend everywhere the books are sold.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Thank
Andy.
you.